Jake had always been known for making bad decisions, whether it was taking shortcuts in life or pushing his luck with dangerous stunts. He had an unshakable belief that he was invincible. His friends constantly warned him about the risks he took, but Jake would always shrug and say, "What's life without a little thrill?" It was late October, and the air was thick with the anticipation of Halloween. That night, Jake's friends dared him to do something even he was hesitant about. They were at an old, dilapidated house on the outskirts of town, the widow's house, as it was known. Legend had it that the widow who once lived there had gone mad after her husband's death and died mysteriously. Her body never recovered. The house had been abandoned for decades, left to decay. "Come on, Jake, I thought you weren't scared of anything." His friend Matt taunted. Jake smirked, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "I'm not scared," he said, though his voice didn't carry its usual bravado. "What's the deal?" "You go inside, reach the attic, and bring back anything that proves you were there," Matt explained. "But you gotta go alone." Jake looked at the house, its broken windows like eyes staring at him from the dark. A gust of wind rattled the branches of the old oak tree in the yard, making the house seem even more menacing. But his pride wouldn't let him back down. "Fine. I'll be back before you even notice I'm gone," Jake said, grabbing a flashlight from the car. He approached the house, its wooden steps creaking under his weight. The door groaned open, revealing a musty darkness that swallowed him whole as he stepped inside. The air was damp, and the stench of mold filled his lungs. Jake clicked on the flashlight, and its weak beam barely cut through the thick dust in the air. The house was deathly silent, except for the occasional scuttle of what he hoped were just rats. He moved quickly, his footsteps echoing eerily off the wooden floor. As he made his way through the decrepit hallways, he found the staircase leading to the attic. "Piece of cake," Jake muttered to himself. The attic door was stuck, swollen from years of neglect, but with a hard shove, it creaked open. The space was claustrophobic, with low beams and piles of forgotten junk scattered across the floor. Jake waved his flashlight around, looking for anything to grab and take back to his friends. That's when he saw it. An old, cracked mirror stood propped against the far wall. It was tall, the glass fogged over from years of dust, but as Jake approached, something strange caught his eye. His reflection looked off. His face seemed distorted, his features slightly twisted, almost like the mirror was warping his appearance. "That's creepy," he muttered, stepping back. He turned to leave, but as he reached the attic door, it slammed shut with a deafening bang. Jake jumped, his heart racing. He spun around, flashlight trembling in his hand, and shone it towards the mirror. His reflection was still there, but now it wasn't moving. It stood perfectly still, grinning at him. "What the hell?" Jake whispered, panic creeping into his voice. He stepped forward, but his reflection didn't move. Then, without warning, the image in the mirror lifted its hand and waved slowly at him. Jake's breath caught in his throat. He bolted for the door, yanking it open and sprinting down the stairs. His heartbeat pounded in his ears as he tore through the house, nearly tripping over the decaying furniture. As he reached the front door, he heard a whisper that seemed to come from all around him. "Stay!" Jake didn't look back. He threw open the door and stumbled outside, gasping for air. His friends were waiting by the car, laughing at how pale he looked. "Did you get something?" Matt asked, grinning. Jake tried to speak, but his throat was dry. He shook his head, still shaken from what he had just seen. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Man," Matt laughed. "What? The big bad Jake scared of an old mirror?" But Jake wasn't listening. His eyes were locked on the attic window. There, staring down at him, was his reflection grinning, waving, exactly as it had in the mirror.
Jake's story is a chilling reminder of how overconfidence can lead to ruin. He had always believed himself to be untouchable, that he could flirt with danger and come out unscathed. But the truth is, Some forces are beyond understanding, and they don't play by the rules. What makes Jake's fate so tragic is that it wasn't his recklessness that killed him. It was his inability to resist the lure of the unknown. The moment he stepped into that house, he was no longer in control. His reflection, twisted and malevolent, became more than just an image. It became a warning. Jake's mistake was believing that the world was only as dangerous as he allowed it to be. But as he learned it too late, some dangers don't care what you believe. They exist whether you acknowledge them or not, and in the end, Jake paid the price.